It's showtime, baby. Let's go. Woo!
Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to the show. This is Sports with Strawberry Ice. I'm your host, the Iceman, Jeff Trunapole. And as always, I bring you sports from a West Side point of view right here in the great city of Cincinnati, Ohio, home of some of the best ribs around. That's right, it's Midwest Best Barbecue. Go check them out every third Saturday. They got delicious ribs. Go check them out every single day. They got delicious barbecue, beef brisket, wings, all kinds of delicious stuff. I try to get there at least once a month. Check them out. Also, brought to you by Meyer Door and Windows. For all your door and windows needs, Meyer Door and Window and more. Check them out at www.meyercincinnati.com. And for my West Side peeps, please go check out Hail Mary's. Your ticket to the game right there in the middle of Cheviot. Got a big ass TV screen, beer specials, food trucks, all that cool stuff. Make sure you check that out. What's up? Welcome to the show. This is Sports with Strawberry Ice. I'm coming to you live from this glorious place down here. It's the Ice Cave, and the Ice Cave is brought to you by T Properties. T Properties, quality housing for quality people. Check out their website at www.tpropertiesllc.com for all your rental property management needs and your rental needs. And you know it. I wear it almost every single day. We're talking Reds today, but we had the jackpot win drafted Joe Burrow. Please make sure you are geared up for our Super Bowl run this year with some Jackpot Joey gear. It's at jackpotjoey9.com. Portion of the proceeds go to the Joe Burrow Foundation. What is up to everybody in the chat? Who's in there first? We got Stranger in there. Paul Painter's in there. Brad's in there. What is going on? And yes, Paul, you are correct. Fairchild absolutely robbed the Padres for a 3-run homer in this game right now, which it is tied up at 2-2. Jeff Carr will be joining us shortly. He had a Locked On Reds meeting that is running a little late, so he'll be on joining us shortly. Actually, he's in the chat right now. Look at that. See, I said he'd be joining us a little late, little later, and all of a sudden, boom, he pops up. He's in the waiting room. That's my boy. Let's get to the man, the myth, the legend for all your Reds needs, your insider. He's my friend. He's your friend. He's Jeff Carr. What's going on, Jeff?
Hey, Jeff, good to see you, man. Sorry about that. Always running a little bit late there, but happy to see Jeimer Candelario getting an RBI. Good stuff.
Yes. Hey, that's a good way to start this out. Lots of people were talking about how bad he's played, and he hasn't been a Red, so we didn't know. I didn't know. I'll put it to you this way: that he gets off to slow starts until other people like you and Mo and Lance started pointing that out, that he gets off to bad starts, but he usually comes around come May 1st. Well, it's May 1st, and he's starting to hit, dude, and I'm here for it.
The hardest part about, April baseball fanning is that there's some guys that just, they're slow to get their swing going, right? Right. They need to get into a groove a bit. There's an element of baseball that guys need to have a routine, and really, for that first month, that's where you build the routine. And pitchers usually do a lot better in the first month. You usually see some pretty low ERAs and things like that. But it's guys like Jeimer Candelario that have been doing it for a long time that I'm not worried about him. I think he's going to be fine.
Exactly. He didn't just have an error right before he came on the air. What's his name? I think I heard the sound on the radio that was the third error. Not his, but the Reds' third error of this series, which is kind of alarming, but I mean, I'm not that worried about it, but go ahead.
These last two games have been very interesting, bipolar defense. Like, you had that great catch from Ellly De LaCrus last night. You had the catch of the year by Stuart Fairchild in this game. That was, and I know they just showed the highlight there again. Like, I cannot believe he held on to that catch. And then you do have those other plays where, like, that was a slow ground ball that India tried to scoop and shovel with his glove. And honestly, he did a great job of it. I think he almost did too good of a job because Candelario was just like, all right, where's this ball going to go? Oh, it's right where it should be. Crap, I wasn't ready for that.
It was right there.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about this pitching staff. And I've had you on the show before, and I've said this, and people think, oh, that's a big high ceiling. But the way they're pitching now, if they keep this up, I might be right. What I've said for the last couple of years, and Abbott came into the picture, but I said Hunter Green, Lodolo, Ashcraft, and now Abbott. Those 4 starters, the stuff that they have remind me of when the Atlanta Braves went on their run. And they started out with 3 starters, which was Glavine, Smoltz, and Avery. Then they added Maddox. I've said this for the last couple of years. If these guys can pitch like it looks like they can and do it consistently, we could have the start of a run, as long as we keep them like the Braves had with that starting pitcher. Now, we've got to keep them all. Now, Hunter Green, that game he pitched in Texas was the best I've seen him pitch. I mean, he wasn't blowing people. I mean, he was blowing people away, but he was pitching. That's the difference, I think. He wasn't trying to go full effort and blow it by you with his fastball. He was actually changing speeds and using his curveball and stuff like that. What's your thoughts on Hunter Green?
That's exactly what we're looking for from him. And to be honest with you, I think that the next step in his development is, just consistently locating that fastball and knowing exactly where he's going to put it at any given time. Because it feels like from a game-to-game basis, it's a little erratic, like his location. I think that it's hard to tell whenever he rears back to throw that 100-mile-an-hour fastball exactly where it's going to be. And he has said it before. He's like, if I take a few miles off the velocity, then I have a much better control and a much better handle on it. And I think that he's realizing that is more valuable. Right. And that is where everything else is going to follow suit. I think that you're going to see him develop his slider a lot better now. He's going to be able to tunnel it. That is something that Spencer Strider has really done for the Atlanta Braves. You mentioned the Braves. Spencer Strider's really done because he's only got 2 pitches.
Right.
He is a guy that when he's healthy, he's in the Cy Young conversation, and nobody is clamoring for him to add a 3rd pitch, although he might be working on it. I don't know. I'm not that plugged into the Braves. But when it comes to Hunter Green, like, if you can control that fastball and you can release your slider with the same sort of arm action, the same sort of release point, then it's going to take a hitter a half second more to realize, hey, that spin looks different. It's not the fastball. By the time he's realized it, he's already swung over top of it. So that's really where the next stage of Hunter Green's development is going to be. And I love that game in Texas. It was a little bit reminiscent, like last year there was a start he had in Boston that was phenomenal, and he was just dominating the Red Sox lineup. Like, if he can kind of channel that sort of feeling, I'd love to say every 5th day. If he does that every 5th day, he's going to win every Cy Young that there ever was.
Right.
But if he can do that, 1 or 2 times a month, and then the other days are just, fine starts, as opposed to these blow-ups where he gives up 5 homers or he can't locate his fastball and he's walking guys all over the place, throwing 100 pitches in 4 innings. If he can just be fine for 2 out of every 4 starts and be that good for 2 out of every 4 starts, then we are talking about the guy that we expected.
Yeah, as we're saying in real estate, it's location, location, location. If he locates his fastball, everything feels off of that. And the thing is, his stuff's so good that he doesn't have to be 105 every time he pitches. He just could be, if he could be 98 and he could put it in the right spot, that keeps the batter's timing off, and that's all he needs to do. And that's what's exciting. Well, hopefully he's starting to figure that out, and people have got to realize that he hasn't pitched a ton of professional baseball games. I mean, he had the Tommy John, then they had 2020, and then then he came up in 21 or 22? I can't remember. So he hasn't really pitched a lot. So that's the thing too, is he's still working on his craft. Now that brings me to Lodolo, who comes off the damn IL and just pitches like he's been pitching for 20 years. I mean, and for him, again, location, and got to be the mound visit of the year. I mean, seriously, he walks the first two guys, comes out, gets a mound visit, and then sits down to the next 15? Something like that? I mean,
18 actually. 18 straight.
18, all right. 18 straight. That's ridiculous.
The night and day flip there. And I know that they said, they're like, well, they asked Eric Johnson, what'd you say? And he's just like, I say what I always said. I didn't really say anything different. The fact that, like, before this, I was watching it, and that breaking ball was just all over the place. He wasn't locating on the back foot, wasn't fooling anybody with it, really. And then all of a sudden, he just turns it on, and guys are swinging over top of it like they've never seen it before. That was the Nick Lodolo that can be the ace of this staff. And we talked about this, after the 2022 season. It was like, man, he really had a better year than Hunter Green that season. Is he the ace and Hunter Green is number 2? And then the injuries kind of derailed that conversation last year for him because, the 7 starts he did have, he was pitching hurt. So we see him now completely healthy. He's locating the fastball where he wants to. He's dropping that curve in there where guys can't do anything with it. This is the kind of pitcher that really could lead this staff. And as much as we talk about ace, if you can get a guy that you're just confident in every 5th day going out there and just being untouchable, that is so valuable for a pitching staff. Kind of like you said, like the sky is really the limit on this on the Reds pitching staff. But it's always been the conversation of where the floor is, like how low can the floor go? And we don't really want to play limbo with this starting rotation. We want them to get as high as they possibly can get. And so far this year, they have been phenomenal.
Absolutely.
Because of Nick Lodolo.
Yeah, and the thing is, I think the way Lodolo pitches, that might take some pressure off Hunter. Where he doesn't have... Because, Hunter Green, God love him, has been nothing but under pressure since he was in high school. I mean, he's a can't-miss prospect, number 1 prospect in all of baseball, yada, yada, yada. This could be the next Dwight Gooden, all this stuff he's been hearing. I don't care. Good.
He had no favors done to him whenever they were calling him the Michael Jordan of baseball whenever he was picked. Whenever he wasn't even in the minors yet. It was like, come on, man. Give him the kid a second to breathe. Right.
So, he's expected to dominate from day one. The way they're talking, he didn't even need the minors. Just brought him up, which is very, very rare. There are pitchers that have, not went to the minors, not very many, and came up and pitched well. But that's the thing is where Lodolo could be taking some of that pressure off him, along with Graham, who's pitching his ass off today. Graham is Graham your third, Graham Ashcraft or Emma is your 3rd or 4th starter. Dude.
It's a great problem to have.
Right.
Ashcraft is interesting because, like, today he's not got his best stuff. He's been pitching around a lot of base runners. The catch from Stuart Fairchild, if Stu is like an inch one way or the other, then that's a 3-run bomb and the Reds are down.
Totally different game. Yep.
It's crazy how much that plays into it, but also he is able to make the pitch when he needs to, and that's just always been Graham Ashcraft.
The bulldog, dude. He's a freaking bulldog. Yeah.
He knows how to drop that cut fastball in there. If he's got to do a 2-seamer that breaks the other way of the cut fastball, he knows when to drop that in. He is a phenomenally balanced pitcher in that I think he's probably the most consistent guy that the Reds have. Like, what you're going to get out of him. You know that you're probably not taking the over on strikeouts for the day, but that's fine.
That's fine. He gets ground balls all the time. Yeah.
Right. And the name of the game for a pitcher is to go out there and give your lineup the best chance to win. And I feel like consistently you can count on him to do that every 5th day. And you mentioned the idea of the Braves and that kind of a pitching staff. I definitely, and by the way, you're gonna get some Braves fans in the comments. They know how to hear that stuff and then they
that's
follow
all right.
along.
I've been saying it for 4 years, so we'll see.
Let me tell you what. But yeah, like this core of these 3 guys, and then you add in Andrew Abbott because he's definitely a part of this core. When you got 4 guys that are this good, there isn't 5 teams in Major League Baseball that can say that that's what they've got, and the Reds are right there. And I love to see the way that they pitch every fifth day. It's so great.
Exactly. And then Fear the Steer hit one out, and people were like, beginning of the season, I was one of them. I was like, why is Spencer Steer hitting seventh? And then they start moving him up. Then people were like, oh, and then he was 0 for 18 or whatever it was. They're like, oh, people were tweeting me out, oh, well, good thing they moved him up. And I'm like, look, he just jacked one out. So, I mean, Steer, to me, is the most consistent player we have. Elly, obviously, is the most electric. I'm telling you, Jeff, by the end of this season, I think people are going to call Elly the best player in baseball. I really do.
He's got that chance.
I mean, because he's doing his approach to hitting this year is complete. Everything he's worked on is working. I mean, now if he's going to stay at this high level all year, I don't know. If it does, hell, he's going to hit 70 home runs and 80 stolen bases or whatever. I mean, so I don't expect that. But if it comes down just a tick or two, that's still freaking phenomenal.
I appreciate the articles and the coverage that have been written about him and how his prep has really changed, and how, this offseason he worked with Juan Soto and he really understood and really learned how to prepare for a game and how to keep himself in shape and keep his mind right every time he comes to the plate. And you can see it. I mean, there's so many different times, and there was a big at bat yesterday where he just hit into a ground ball out and it was nothing, but that at bat went 0-2 super quickly. Yu Darvish went 0-2 on him super quickly. He fought back. It was a full count, then ended up hitting the ground ball. He's doing that so much this season. He's not getting cheated. There have been a couple of pitches in this game here that Joe Musgrove has just dropped his curveball in. Joe Musgrove's curveball is working today.
It's working today. It's working today.
There's a couple of guys that have been looking foolish swinging over top of it. And Elly got by one of those curveballs, but he also got a double. There's going to be so many of these games where it's like, he is going to strike out, but he's also going to get his. Like, one way or the other, Elly's going to get on base, Elly's going to come around, and Elly's going to score. That's just what he does, because he continues to have this high percentage of getting on base, coming around to score. I haven't updated it here in the last couple of days, but I've been trying to monitor it, because for the longest time, he's been around 56, 57% of the time that he gets on base, he ends up scoring. And that is a kind of rate that is going to put you up there with the most runs scored. I mean, last year, Jeff, he only played in 98 games. Mm-hmm. He finished 5th in runs scoring in Major League Baseball.
Right.
He's just so phenomenal at getting them on, getting them over, getting them in. That's Elly, man. That's what he does.
Now, all that being said, going back to Steer, in my mind, Steer is still, right now, on May 1st here, Steer's the MVP of this season because of the multiple positions he can play, his consistency, especially with the players that we've lost. We thought Marte was going to be here, Friedel, Matt McLean. Those are 3 big guys, and he has come in, stepped up, played first. I thought he's played a lot of left field this year. He's played first base, he's played third base, and he's no matter where you put him at, he's consistent. Now, my son gets on him about his outfield defense. I'm like, dude, he's an infielder. I mean, but he's like, but his metrics and we've had this conversation. I don't do math, and all the new metrics and all that stuff. I have a hard time figuring all that stuff out. But I'm like, he gets the balls he can get to, and that's all you can ask Steer to do, and to make the plays that he's supposed to make, and that's what he does at every position. And to me, right now, he's this year, and I think he was last year's MVP. To be honest, I think he's the most valuable player on this team because of his consistency and his positional value.
I hear you on the reasoning. I still think it's Elly. I think Elly is the MVP of this team, but I think that Spencer Steer he's the glue, right? Mm-hmm. He's the guy that holds everything together. I've said on my show before, he's the mashed potatoes of the dish,
right?
And you're never going to stump for mashed potato. You're never going to search those out first and foremost, but you're never going to be mad about him either,
right?
And you're always going to be glad that you got him. Spencer Steer is that guy, and I believe that he needs to stay at the middle of the order, whether it's 3rd, 4th, 5th, whatever that ends up being for the rest of this year, whenever the roster's at full strength, because he is always going to give you a long at bat. He is always going to force the pitcher to work, and he's always going to put the bat on the ball. He's not going to strike out very much. He is going to be the guy that brings around Elly, who needs to be at the top of the lineup for the rest of the year as well.
Do you like Elly hitting second? Do you like him hitting second?
Yeah. I do, and especially in a situation when TJ Friedl gets back, TJ Friedl should lead off, Elly should hit second, just because I feel like there are two things that Elly can do, and that is he hits the ball super hard, and he runs really fast. And there's going to be a case where maybe Friedl doesn't get on, then your second leadoff hitter is Ellay De LaCrus. And he's going to be able to start a rally himself. We've seen it a number of times where he gets a walk or he gets a single that was never going to be a double. But then 2 pitches later, he's on third because he steals both bases. And I think that he needs to always be at the top of the lineup. And there was an argument, and it's an analytics argument, that your best hitter needs to be hitting second. And I think that he is still the Reds, as far as you look at upside and what he can do on a at-bat per at-bat basis, he needs to be their number 2 hitter. But, I think that Spencer Steer will always, every single year that he is here, he will always have an argument to be the best player, but I do think that it's Elly right now.
Right. Now I'll press it this way. I think Ellie's the best player, but I think the most valuable is Steer, if that makes any sense to how I'm differentiating.
It's a good problem to have, right?
Oh, yeah. I'll take it.
For years, it was obviously Joey Votto, but now we actually have a discussion for multiple guys, and then, hopefully we get Matt McClain back, later this year, and he can round into form. And then when we get into the playoffs, we're really discussing who the best guy is, because having multiple guys in that discussion is a good problem to have.
Exactly. I got a question here from Paul Painter, and this is an interesting one. Do you sit Marte this year and keep his options? When is he eligible to come off or play? When is that?
It'll probably, I think he's first eligible in mid to late June. Probably, I think it's like the third week of June.
And then when we make the playoffs, he can't play in the playoffs, right?
Right. And I've kind of gone back and forth on this, not even necessarily for the options, but for the idea, because he would retain rookie eligibility, for the idea that he could fight for a Rookie of the Year award next year. Right. And then if he wins that, then the Reds get an extra first-round pick and all this other stuff. I don't think that they should do that, though, because if he is healthy, if he is ready, which he's going to be healthy, but if he is ready to go, he needs to be in this lineup, because he will be a key reason why the Reds make the playoffs. It's going to be unfortunate that he can't be in the playoffs and help them advance, but we see this on a day in and day out basis. This team's depth without him is a problem.
Oh, yeah.
And you see any sort of fluctuation in the health of Jeimer Candelario or CES, and Santiago Espinal is conscripted into everyday playing time. If we're into October, and Marte's not going to be there for the playoffs, but if we're into September and the Reds are making a playoff push, and they got to do it with Santiago Espinal every day, I feel a lot less confident about that than if Noelvi Marte is out there.
Even though Espinal is hitting a lot better than he was given credit for. I mean, not that I would play him over
consistently,
Marte.
But yeah.
No, but I from what I heard him come here, he was all glove and no bat. I mean, his bat's a little better than I think portrayed, but by no means as far as the bat goes, I'm putting Novi in there. Now I got a question: What is Marte doing right now? Do you know, to try to keep himself in shape? I mean, what can he do? I'll put it that way.
So he is, I believe he's out in Arizona, because he's not allowed to be like on a minor league team or something like that playing games. So he's just got to constantly do, they always talk about simulated games or live BP or something like that. He's basically got to keep up this conditioning regimen the whole time that he's been suspended, because he cannot play in any sort of organized game action that is involved with the team. And in order to keep in shape, I don't necessarily know how well that's going to, get him ready for the moment that he's eligible to come back. I think probably whenever he's eligible to come back, he's still going to have to do like a, quote unquote rehab stint,
something to get some timing or something back. Yeah.
Right. Like extended spring training and stuff like that, where we'll see him in Louisville or wherever that might be, just to get his timing going. But, but yeah, as of right now, he cannot play in any sort of actual game. It's got to be all like just backfield work and stuff like that.
Yeah, and if they were to just say leave him in the minors the whole year and not bring him up, I think that would stunt his development. It's kind of like where people kept saying at the beginning of the year, oh, I won't say everybody, but some people, oh, you got to send Eliy back down. He needs to go back down to AAA. And I'm like, are you freaking nuts? I'm like, he's done everything he could possibly do in AAA. I was like, he needs to prove it here. And that's kind of where Marte is. If you put him down, if you kept him down there, I think it might hurt him or stunt his growth moving into next year because we want him ready to go next year. And if we can get that bat down the stretch, I think it's a good thing.
I forget who it was that asked David Bell. There was a beat writer or somebody like that asked him a question, not necessarily this poignant of would you leave him down to save options or save service time or save the ability to win Rookie of the Year next year, but basically asked him something to the effect like that. And David Bell very clearly said, he was just like, if he is healthy and he is able to play, we want him up here because we know he can help us win games. And at the end of the day, that's really what it's about. There's not
trying to win a World Series, which I mean, right. I think the Reds are trying to win the World Series this year. That's where my head is.
Well, and I mean, the Phillies and the Diamondbacks have shown these last couple of years, all you got to do is make it in. It doesn't matter what your seed is. You just got to make it to the dance, and you can make a run. And Noelvi Marte can certainly help them do that.
And just think, with our I just talked about the 4 pitchers we got. If they're all locked and ready to go, going to a 4-game series, it's over. I mean,
they are winning games right now because of their pitching, not because of their hitting. Right. And I think that if you'd have told me there'd be a long stretch this season that would be the case, I'd be like, well, this team's definitely a playoff team then.
Yeah, I think they are. I mean, and the thing is, they finally got off to a good start, which is funny this year because of all the injuries. Because Marte's not there, TJ Frito's not there, Matty McLean's not, Matty Bat's not there. These are all important players, and I mean, in a normal season, I think they'd be in first place because the Pirates got off to an unbelievable start. The Brewers are playing way better than I thought they would, but they're still. I mean, it's not like the last 4 years we're already 6-7 games out at the end of April. We're in this thing. You, like I said yesterday, you can't win the division in April, but you damn sure can lose it in April. And they didn't lose it. And that's a big step this year, I think. Now, Brad's got another question about Ellly. He said, talking about Marte, I thought I heard that he could not be on any MLB field or facility.
And that's possible. It's probably just some sort of training field. I know he was able to.
He's got to be able to do something. I mean, he can't just go sit around.
I know, like, after the team left Arizona, back when spring training ended and they came north to Cincinnati, then Noelvi Marte was able to join them for minor league spring training and kind of get his conditioning in that way. Not necessarily playing in any sort of games or anything like that, but yeah, it's something that it's only condition based. He cannot be like in a game or something.
He's got to be somewhat ready to go when his time is up. So, Paul Painter here says CES looks bad sometimes. I honestly think CES has had a pretty damn good season. If you ask me, I mean, go ahead.
He's not been as consistent as I thought he would be. But again,
I'll give you that. But
I think he's just in that category of he's got to get into a groove. He ain't found the groove yet, and
now he's hurt.
It's been interesting, and he's dealing with the whole swollen hand thing that. They keep telling us he's been available, but it's like,
we've been playing.
Why hadn't he played yet?
2 players down.
It's very strange the way that they like to do that for some reason.
Yeah, I don't know.
But he's a guy that, like, I firmly believed coming into the season he had an argument to be this team's best hitter. I still think he has that argument. It's just he's got to begin that consistency here very soon. He's never going to be a guy that walks a lot. All throughout his minor league career, he was known as a good bad pitch hitter. Like he would swing at stuff outside the zone, but he would actually turn it into some pretty impressive stuff. Extra base hits, home runs sometimes. There was specifically one, I remember a highlight of him in AAA last year before he was called up, where he hit one over the batter's eye in center field, and it was like a curveball that almost bounced.
Right.
He's just able to really do something with those kind of pitches. The problem is he falls back on that a lot, and in the major leagues, stuff that's outside the zone is supposed to be, where in AAA, that's not always the case. So he's able to kind of take advantage of things like that in a different environment. But I think once he tweaks that and he gets back into the groove, hopefully we see him in this weekend series against the Orioles, and he can kind of get going. He's still hitting the ball hard, so
yeah.
I got no worries about him whatsoever.
And I think people have to realize he hasn't played a full Major League Baseball season yet. Right. I mean, they're still these
he
guys
hasn't even
all,
played half one yet.
Right. I know. I'm like, they're still. That's what you have to remember. They were so good last year. Like, they're still really young baseball players. That, I mean, Elly hasn't played a full Major League season. Well, Matt McClain obviously not going to. CS hasn't. Steer has. Who Novi Marte hasn't. I mean, they're not on there, but they've got a lot of guys who we're counting on who haven't played a full baseball season. So there's gonna be some bumps in the road, but I mean, for where they're at and where this team is in the division, I mean, I won't say I'm ecstatic, but I'm extremely happy. Everything is going up. I'm like, and the thing is, like, I keep going back to the pitching staff. We get these guys to pitch, especially Hunter and Lodell. Those are your 1-2 top of the rotation guys, and they pitch like they had the last 2 outings. Shoot, it's going to be unbelievable. Now, question for you: what have you heard a timeline on TJ Friedl? Because when this first happened, they said maybe the beginning of May. We're there. Do you have any update on that from the Reds?
So reportedly, he's going to begin a rehab assignment tomorrow, and then which will be Thursday. May the 2nd. And then I would think it's probably going to be about 2 or 3 weeks. I would probably say it's closer to 3 weeks that he will be rehabbing and making sure that, it's not just about, and everybody likes to harp on rehab statistics and things like that. It's not about how he's performing. It's about how he recovers during his rehab. Like, does he wake up with a lot of pain? Does he wake up with a lot of soreness and all this other stuff? How does the wrist feel on a day in and day out basis, and can he play full games back to back to back to back to back? Once that time is determined, that's when he will return to the major leagues. I would still put it at 3 weeks. I bet, and this is again another reason why we put such an emphasis on this stretch of games and why it's the toughest stretch of games that the Reds have the entire year. But you also look at the fact that TJ Friedl is probably not going to be back until at least Memorial Day, if not at some point during that week, whenever the Reds are done with this gauntlet of West Coast / playoff teams that they got to play.
So, I just wrote this down, and I'm glad you brought that up. With this road trip, do you think this could be a make or break road trip for the Reds? If they come out of this road trip 500, I'm ecstatic. If it's a game above, I'm unbelievably ecstatic. I mean, they're close. I mean, they could win the series today if it gets San Diego. I think they're starting off very, very well. What's your thoughts on this gauntlet of road trip?
Well, in this particular one is kind of just a preview. This is almost like the appetizer to the main dish. Their West Coast road trip that's coming up after the next homestand is the one where they face the Diamondbacks, Dodgers, and Giants. And it's 12 games. I don't think there's any off days in between. And not to mention, they got to travel out to L.A. They have, I think it's a home game next week. I'm trying to remember who they're playing against. Can't remember off the top of my head. But they play on Thursday, and then they have to hop on a plane as soon as that game's over and head out west and play a game on Friday. There's no off day in between to go out west. So you're going to jump 3 time zones without an off day, and that's going to be really tough to see what they do. I'm 100% with you. Like, if they come out of this, really these next 3 weeks, if they come out of it at 500, we're cooking with gas. I don't necessarily know if it's a make or break, but I definitely think it is a break type deal that they've got to avoid. That if they fall too far behind, then the month of June, while the schedule isn't tough, the month of June is full of division series. If they can make some hay in June and come out of this like 500 into the month of June, then they are going to be cooking with gas.
I think it's good that we're getting these West Coast trips out of the way at the beginning of the season. I'd rather do those now instead of doing them later when you've played 100 and something games and you got to go out, because the Reds typically struggle out west. I mean, they do. That's just the history of the Cincinnati
Reds. Even the Big
Reds.
Red Machine.
Even the Big Red Machine. And that's when they played in the NL West, and they went out there way more times. I remember as a kid, I used to hate that because I couldn't sit and listen to the games or watch it. Right. Well, there weren't that many games on TV, but I couldn't listen to them. So that's where I do like that part of this. Now, getting back to TJ Friedel, and you mentioned that you liked Ellly hitting second. This is my thought process with Will Benson. I liked him hitting lower in the lineup last year. I think he's gotten to the point where I like him more up in the front of the lineup, not necessarily leading off. I think TJ comes out. I think he's our best leadoff hitter. Mm-hmm. This is what I've been thinking: is if you could have TJ Friedel, Will Benson, and Ellly 1, 2, 3. I think that's a lot of on base percentage and a lot of speed and a lot of power right at the beginning of your lineup. And that's I don't know what's your thoughts on that one, because I'm old school. I like your best hitter hitting third. I know they say your best hitter should hit second now. I'm still stuck on your best hitter should hit third. That just means I'm old. But what's your thoughts on that?
I could see that. I think my argument would be Friedel, Ellly, and I guess I'm thinking about McClain, and I don't know. Like, part of me is like, I don't think we should really think about him until we actually have a rehab assignment that's like scheduled for him, and things like that. So without Matt McClain, I think I could see.
Oh, Matt McClain, I think is the best one hitting second. I like him hitting second. I'd
have him hit third. I would have with Matt McClain, if the roster were perfect, healthy and all this other stuff, I'd say Friedel, Ellly, McClain, Steer, and then I would have probably Will Benson third, Will Benson fifth, CES sixth, because Will Benson could almost then reset your lineup a little bit because he's got the power to be a middle of the lineup kind of guy, but he's also got the speed and the on base ability to be a table setter as well. He's a very versatile guy, and I'm glad that they actually moved him up in the order, because the lineup honestly right now has just necessitated it. But also, I think he's got the talent to be up there too.
And I'm pleasantly, I won't say pleasantly surprised. I was pretty confident that Willie B. Bad could play center field, and I think he's played an excellent center field. Good. Yeah, he's done really good. So I mean, like I said, I'm not even pleasantly surprised because I expected that. I mean, people were like, "Oh, he might not be good at center field." Well, I was like, "Look at the speed; he should be able to cover the ground there." So I was always confused by that. But I mean, that just goes to show that how good he is, and he's improving even more because he's playing every day now. I mean, him and Rake Fraley are playing every day. Now Rake's not hitting so good right now; he's still recovering from a sickness. But those are things last year that they couldn't play every day. And going into the offseason, like, oh, we might platoon them. Well, I think they're proving they don't need to be platooned. We got even more, which just makes this team even better.
Right. And that's one thing that they've really been missing is Rake, because he's a guy that you can move Benson over to center field and you can have a much stronger lineup that way. I really hope that he's doing all right, because he played 3 games there in a row, and then he was off last night. There really wasn't an explanation as to why, and he's off again today, and again, no real explanation as to why. So, I mean, you got righties on the mound. It's not as if they're facing lefties here. Right. So that's going to be interesting to see how that kind of develops, because Rake's been going through a lot this year, and I mean, he has a nice batting average right now. There's a few things that I'm looking at that I'm a little bit worried about. He's not hitting the ball as hard as he normally does. In fact, I was looking at this, the quality of contact metrics like average exit velocity have him third worst in all of Major League Baseball amongst qualified hitters. So that's something to kind of keep an eye on right now. The power just hasn't been there for him. But again, early on in the season, maybe it's something that comes along here in the next couple of weeks.
Jared here says they're reporting he's battling bronchitis. So there you go. I mean,
I've done that before. I don't recommend it. 0 out of 10.
I got allergies or something going on down here right now. That's what's killing me. I keep having to mute my microphone. I keep coughing a lot. And yes, Paul. Yes, you're right. Matt McClain won't be back till August. I don't know if he's going to. It depends on the shoulder reaction.
When they said early August, and they do the whole thing where David Bell always says, if everything works according to plan, and it's just like, never does, David.
It never does.
Thank you for putting that in there.
I mean, honestly, I'm not really expecting Matt back this year, to be honest.
I chalked him up as I agreed with whenever they said labrum surgery. I'm just like, oh, dadgummit, we'll see you next year.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. So I'm honestly, if we get him back, great. I think the Reds are kind of playing like that too. Like, so he might be back by August, but they can't go, oh, all right, he's definitely coming back by August, because they don't know. So I think they're playing it the same way. Jared here says our biggest sore spot in our lineup is right now is catcher. Well, yeah, that's because Tyler Malley or not Tyler. Tyler Stevens has been out. He got hit. Him and as we were just talking about him and the CS both got hit. Tyler Malley's never been. He's not on this roster for his bat. Let's be honest. So when he's been playing, I mean that's going to be a drop. But I think Tyler Stevens before he got hurt, I actually think he's been hitting the ball pretty well this year.
He actually, and I mentioned this with Fraley, opposite. Like Tyler Stevenson has been like one of the top 3 in Major League Baseball for quality contact, whether it be barrels or average exit velocity. He is hitting the ball really good so far this year. He just hasn't quite got all the results just yet, but we've seen it here recently. He's the last couple of weeks have been pretty good for him. So I was bummed to see that this has kind of probably set a reset button on that, and hopefully he can pick it back up pretty quickly whenever he gets back into the lineup, because he has started to blossom a little bit and become that guy that I think that we had expectations for a couple of years ago. There's been a lot of people that have jumped off the bandwagon for him, and I think it's been too early to do that.
Well, a lot last year. He's coming back from injury. I think that what was his collarbone? Is that what he broke the year before?
Yes.
Yeah. So I think it took a little while to come back from that, more than he expected. And I really do think the whole thing is screwing around with him from first base to catcher and all that stuff. I don't think he's a catcher. He wants to play catcher, and you can tell. And he worked on catching this year. I mean, I've heard some metrics on his what do they call where they steal the framing? His pitch framing has gotten better this year.
It's been a lot better.
Yeah, because my son, who's more into the metrics and all that stuff than I am, he's like, he's gotten so much better at that. And I'm like, well, that's good. That means he's working on it, because those are things that, like, all right, you want to be a catcher, you got to get better at this. Because the hitting, I think, will come. He's always been able to hit. That's what got into the majors is hitting. The defense he's got to work on. Hopefully, him and CS be back sometime soon. Like you're saying, I hate when the Reds do this. When the guys say, he's out for the day. But day to day he might be right. Then a week and a half later they're still out. It's like, you just put him on the freaking IR and let's go get somebody else up here. And that's because we're already playing shorthanded. We're playing two guys short this whole series with San Diego.
Yeah, and that's what bummed me out on game 2, because it felt like there were a couple of instances they had chances to either bring in a pinch hitter and get a key hit or just get somebody on base, and they didn't, because they weren't able to. And I keep, they keep telling us, well, they were available, we just couldn't get them into the game. It's like, stop it.
IR them.
Yeah.
just put them on there. We got guys. We actually have a really good minor league system. You can bring guys up that could come off the bench and help.
Yep.
So I don't know why they're so scared to do that sometimes. But all right, Jared Harris question: how happy have you guys been with our additions of Pagan, Candyman, and Martinez? How about you, Jeff?
Well, just those 3 have been pretty. We're still waiting to see more from Candelario, although I think he's breaking out here in this series. Pagan has been fine. I don't necessarily know that he's been great, but I don't think he's been bad either. And Nick Martinez has been up and down. I think that the best version of the Reds pitching staff includes him in the bullpen. But, also the addition of Brent Suter has just been a phenomenal addition.
Been awesome.
Yeah.
Yes,
that was a great get. Great get for him, and I don't necessarily know if we count it as an addition, but all off season long we were talking about, well, Fernando Cruz might be like the odd man out of this bullpen. He's looking like the best dude in this pen, although he has given up a couple of hits here as I say that. But he's looked like the best dude out of this bullpen right now.
His split finger is unbelievable. I mean, he can. I don't think I've ever seen anybody throw a split finger up in the zone and somebody swing at it. And usually it's a dirt ball. It goes in, it goes drop right down. I can't remember what game it was, but it was a couple of days, and he threw it up, and somebody swung at it and missed it. He can literally throw that pitch wherever he wants. And right now, it is an unhittable pitch. You can tell them it's coming, and they can't hit it.
No, and his thing right now looks like the location's a little bit off, but he is a guy that. That he's got a couple of pitches, but they're all just to set up that splitter. And, you mentioned the splitter at the top of the zone. You watch hitters take that because they think it's a fastball. They think it's just going to keep. It's either going to stay at that level or it's going to rise up a little bit. And they're like, well, it's out of the zone. That's going to be a ball. And then it just drops off the table right there at the last second. Jeez, I just walked Fernando Cruz on.
Yeah, I just saw that. I'm watching it on my phone here. Do we have the bases loaded and no outs?
Fernando Tatis. Yeah, bases loaded and nobody out. Here comes Derek Johnson. Let's see. Maybe he's going to say whatever he told Nick Lodolo the other day.
Exactly.
But yeah, no, he's been phenomenal.
So, I mean, with him and we have our all-star closer. But right now, I mean, we're talking him up and he's throwing the ball all over the place. Well, until this out of here, I think he's been the most consistent relief pitcher. And our bullpen, I think, has been outstanding. I mean, just the game where we talk about where Suter came in for Frankie, who got hit on the arm. Suter come in and, smooth, like he's been a starter his whole life. He came in. Yeah.
That game, that was actually Nick Martinez that came in. But still, yeah, like he got him to 6. And that's the kind of value that a guy like him brings. Suter is close. Suter can do about 3 innings, I think, and then you probably got to think about taking him out.
Did he pitch 3 innings that game? Wasn't that the first time he pitched 3 innings?
Might have been.
What you say, Martinez? I thought Suter came in first. Martinez came in first that game?
No, it was Martinez in that game. I think Suter was in on the first game in that. But he...
I thought Suter came in on when Frankie Marte got hit. What happened? Give a run? No.
So much for that.
Oh, crap. That's not good.
That aged poorly.
6-2. What happened?
Yeah, normally Fernando Cruz is going to be pretty good there. That's all right. But yeah, so when it comes to Brent Suter, though, he and Nick Martinez both bring the kind of talent to this bullpen that they haven't had in the last few years. And I remember last year, David Bell said the thing was just like, we got a lot of guys that we trust to go multiple innings. And it's just like, I think you're pushing them a little bit if you think that you're going to get multiple innings out of most of these guys. But Brent Suter and Nick Martinez, if they come into a game and they only throw 1 inning, I think that would surprise them.
All right, so I'm trying to keep up on here on MLB at back. It's 6-2.
Grand Slam,
Padres.
yeah.
Grand Slam? Is that did Cruz give a Grand Slam? Oh my God. See, every time I start talking up somebody.
Relief pitching is a fickle thing. That's the thing that this is going to derail his ERA, and now people are going to look at it and be like, "Oh, well, he's not very good." And they're gonna be, yeah, it's 1 outing, man. 1 outing can derail a relief pitcher's ERA, so you got to look past that stat.
To the 7th inning, dude. God, that sucks. Oh man. Anyway, well, that just brought me down. Dang it. I see here. Jared has got a question here. It says, any updates on Ian Jabot? I heard they shut him down again because he got forearm soreness.
Yeah, they had shut him down. His rehab, they did restart his rehab in Louisville. I still probably think maybe next week we'll hear more about that. Maybe they bring him up next week. But he was to the point where all he was needing to do was pitch back-to-back days and feel good. Mm-hmm. And he did a whole back-to-back day and he didn't feel good. So they stopped it, put him back on the IL for a minute, and then brought him back to Louisville. So I think that we'll see him here pretty soon. All
right, sounds good here. All right, man, you've been up for 48 minutes, and, well, the game was tied. Now we're losing, so I'm going to go watch, hopefully, them make this great, glorious comeback here. Do your favorite, Jeff. First of all, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
and plug some stuff, would you? Because you and Steven do an awesome job, and you guys, well, by the way, I haven't got the public thank you yet for showing up for opening day for me. That was fun on our broadcast. I don't know if a whole lot of people could hear us with our setup. We got to do a little better so people can hear us a little better. But it was a lot of fun, and I'm planning on doing that again next year. So maybe you can join again next year. Anyway, plug some stuff for. I'll let you go, brother.
Yeah, you can follow the Locked On Reds podcast everywhere you get your podcast, including on YouTube. You can watch us there. Just look up Locked On Reds, and hit us up on Twitter. You can hit me up at Jeff Carr with 3 Fs. And I also have a TikTok. I believe it's Jeff Carr with 3 Fs. I try to update it as much as I can. But also, follow si.com/MLB/Reds. We're trying to find a name for that, but a whole bunch of corporate stuff has messed up the naming. So, yeah, si.com/
money always gets in the way.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, Jeff. Appreciate you. Talk to you later, dude. Go Reds.
Take it easy, Jeff.
See ya. All right. I hope you guys enjoyed that as much as I did. Unfortunately, the Reds are losing right now, which sucks. I was hoping we were going to get this. I still come back. It's something. We still come back. This is the Rally Reds, right? As John Sadek likes to say it. So it's not over. Nothing is over till we decide it is. If you don't know what movie that is, you're way too young. It's Animal House. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks. Shout out to my great sponsors of the show. Midwest Best Barbecue. The best barbecue around. Check them out for the CTB wings, Uno wings, G-Funk, pulled pork, ribs every third Saturday. Please check them out. They are delicious. Tim and Nicole are awesome, awesome people. Huge bagel fans. So please go out there and enjoy some ribs. Also brought to you by Meyer Door and Windows and more. Check them out at www.meyercincinnati.com. I have them in my house. They are energy efficient. They look great, easy to clean, and it's family owned and operated. And of course, it's the originator of Jackpot Joey, Matty Myers. My West Side peeps, go check out Hail Mary's, your ticket for the game. It's over there in Cheviot. They have free parking right across the street, which I think is a big deal because Cheviot, there's not a lot of parking. So they got parking lot there, right across the street. You can park there. Walk right across the street to Hail Mary's. They got a lot of food trucks there, beer specials, big ass TV screens. Please, 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 when you go there, tell them Iceman sent you. I would greatly appreciate it. You guys have a wonderful day. Hopefully the Reds will come back and win this thing. Tomorrow, let's see here. I got already somebody set up. I'm 99% sure. Don't I? Maybe not. I know. We're in, what is today? Oh, get out, April. Stupid. Yes. Oh, yes. I have my boy, Evan McPhillips, is going to be joining the show from the Sit Down Malik Wright show. He's an awesome, awesome dude. We can get his thoughts on the draft and his analytics because he's full of it. Analytics, that is. Anyway, other than that, you guys have a wonderful day. I'll see you tomorrow. That's just sports, baby. See ya!